So resin versus filament 3D printers, how should you choose? Well, the first thing is, if you're a beginner, I would recommend choosing like a filament printer because it's just a little bit easier. There's less cleanup and there's less things that can go wrong. So I think for beginners, I would choose a filament printer. So I've tested the Creality K1 SE and the Flashforce Adventure 5M. Both are very idiot proof and they have built-in Wi-Fi. So that is quite nice. You can just use your computer and send files directly to print on the thing. And also you can have an app here, so you can see the status report, if everything's going as smoothly as you want, and how far along the print is, so you can get notified once it's done and you can go and pick that up. So I think that's a great advantage of the Creality K1 SE and the Flashforce 5M. They both have that Wi-Fi and an app. Now the Creality also has an app that you can print directly from, so that is one step that makes this even better for beginners. You can print directly from the Creality Cloud, just select the design that you'd like and slice that directly in the app. Now for the Flashforce 5M, you'd have to install software on your computer and then go to a marketplace like Thingiverse and search for designs and then import that into that FlashMaker app that you can get for Windows and Mac, and then send that right over to your Flashforce 5M. So that's one extra step, but nothing too much to handle. Even for beginners, I could do this in one morning and have like a full Monopoly set printed out. So I think that's pretty great there. Now, as for the resin here, it's a little bit harder to do. You have to pour in resin, which is liquid. Also, a downside here is that you can't be in the same room as these printers when you print because of the toxins. So you really have to have like a good ventilated room, open up some windows, but put those in the garage. I think that's a lot better. So this is the Eligo Mars 5 and the Eligo Saturn 4. Now they're both great printers, and I think the advantage of resin is that you can get a lot of detail and a lot more smoothness than you can get from the prints that you have from these filament printers. So the filament printers is just like little slices on top of each other, and you can see like the creases that are between those slices. And with something like a resin printer, it just comes up from the bottom and hardens the resin at all the right places, so it's just one smooth surface. So this really gives you a lot more flexibility and more detail in the things you want to print. So if you're going to print like a lot of figurines for things like a D&D or a Warhammer or that sort of thing, or even like chess pieces, I think the resin printer is really detailed. It is a little bit more hassle, but nothing even a beginner can't handle. So I've just been printing for a month now, got these resin printers, and I could set them up in like a morning and print a whole chess set. So it is still quite easy to do, but the cleanup is a little bit more difficult because you have all that resin in that basin in the machine there, and it can harden just a bit. So you have to clean up just a little bit more, and with the filament you don't have that. It's also a little less sensitive to errors, so it's a little bit easier to get clean prints from this. And here you also have to worry about if it attaches to the bed here in the correct way. You just have to apply some glue here, but I have had some prints misprint because they couldn't stick to the bed well enough, and then just the filament will fly everywhere. So that's also something to take into consideration. You have to get like the right design. So when it comes to choosing between resin and filament, I really like the Creality K1 SE for beginners and the Flashforce 5M because of their Wi-Fi connection, and these Eligo don't have that. But of course that isn't a difference between, say, resin or filament printers, but I do think these are a little bit more beginner friendly. And if you're just like custom printing cups and holders and not really doing too much with figurines or minifigures, then I think this filament printer is enough for beginners to get started with, and I don't think you should get through the extra hassle of using that resin. But if you're really into like those minifigures, then a resin printer is still easy to do, and I think it can give you a lot more bang for your buck here.